Good morning, everybody. This is Diggs. It's another beautiful day out here in the Pacific Northwest, and today we're going to talk about how amazing Strangers of Paradise is. Let's go ahead and dig in. So if you've gone anywhere on the internet or looked up anything about Strangers of Paradise, what you're going to find is a lot of people being very upset about the game, or a lot of people giving their opinions on the game who either haven't played it or don't really understand what type of a game it is. Everywhere you go, people are calling this a Final Fantasy Souls-like game. That's not what this is. If you have played this game, there is no Souls-like experience in this game. This is a Final Fantasy action game. This is not a Souls-like game. I don't know why everybody is calling it Final Fantasy Souls-like. This is not a Souls-like game. This is, I've played this about 9 hours now, and I will say my first impressions are that this is amazing. This is much closer to Nioh 2. This is much closer to almost like Final Fantasy's Metal Gear Revengeance than it is to anything relating to Dark Souls. So first off, right out the bat, I'm just gonna shoot that down because so many people have been describing this as that. The other thing people have been saying is that this game is terribly made. That's completely not true. This game is masterful. I just compared this to Metal Gear Revengeance, which is an amazing game. And you have to understand that chaos in this game is very similar and has very similar themes to Metal Gear Revengeance. There is a lot of things going on here that are very campy, intentionally campy, and absolutely hilarious. This game's story is one of the best Final Fantasy stories I think I've ever seen. Not because it is great and engrossing and it's a great fantasy adventure. It's because the main character does not give a fuck. Like, boss is gonna do an introduction, main character is just gonna be like, where the fuck's chaos? Like, that's all he cares about. That's all this game is, and it's hilarious. Princess Sarah weighing on him hand and foot, tapping his foot. He's pissed. He's like, Sarah, I need you to shut up so that I can continue to play this amazing goddamn game. It is a masterpiece of storytelling. And of course, because Team Ninja is behind it, it is a masterpiece of gameplay as well. You can see here we're on the overworld, and there is a lot going on here. You have the entire overworld of the Final Fantasy 1 game faithfully replicated, right? You have access to submissions, you have access to main missions, and it does, for the most part, follow the story of Final Fantasy 1. And in addition to all of this, you have very complex equipment trees and, of course, job trees, which I think are probably my favorite part of the game. So let's get in here and show you. You can see I have job trees right now. I have job points on Black Mage. So you can see this is very similar to classic Final Fantasy style, where you can unlock different jobs, but in order to unlock these jobs, you have to unlock other jobs with them. So in order to unlock Dark Knight here, I need to unlock Berserker, Black Mage, and some other job which I don't have access to yet in order to get it. In order to access, I think this is probably going to be Sage right here, I need to have Black Mage and White Mage leveled, right? So you have, first off, a very complicated job system, which is based off of gear. You don't slowly get jobs in this game. I mean, you do, but it's based off of gear. So you can have a spear drop and all of a sudden you can become a lancer. There's basic jobs. There's 27 jobs in total. Then you have basic and you have advanced jobs. And I believe there's another tier after advanced jobs, but I haven't made it to that point in the game yet. But you can see you build through, you go through. There is no real experience system in this game. There's a job experience system. And then there's also equipment level. So the game is mostly bent on getting and grinding out gear, very similar to Neo in that way. The combat also feels similar to Neo, except that there's no actual raw experience system for your character. So you can see I have different jobs here: Ronin, Pugilist, Marauder, Mage, Duelist, Lancer. They all have different abilities, which I can customize and set. And then I have my advanced jobs, which I've unlocked, which are Monk, White Mage, Black Mage, Red Mage. And then in your battle settings is where you kind of build out your character. And for those of you who are like me, when they see a combat menu system like this, and like they get like that, oh, this looks complicated and wonderful inside of them, you know this game is good, right? You already know this game is for you. And that's exactly what this is. It is a complex game that is, you know, rewarding to players who want to invest the time and the resources into this game, and who maybe want to play it on hard for the experience. Like, it's great. You can equip 2 jobs at once. You can switch them in combat. You can also equip your allies. Changing gear changes what your allies and you look like. So if I wanted to maybe put potentially, you know, something else on my guy, which none of those really look good. Let's go change the wizard's coat here. Let's say I want to put a loyalty cape on him. So his appearance does change, and you can do this with all of your characters. I have unlocked 3 additional characters right now, but you also have access to a 5th character, I've heard, which I have not met yet. So I don't know if there's more than 5. It seems like in the party menu, because you can set your party very similar to other Final Fantasies, it seems like there may be another space or space for more DLC characters, but it's been wonderful so far. Let's talk about the combat too, because the combat, we'll just go into a mission here. The combat is fantastic. It is wonderful. The combat feels good to execute. It's a little difficult in the beginning of the game to kind of get a handle on it. It's not like other action-based games where magic is super OP, but you can see here we're in game and we have different versions and different setups. So I am on my White Mage right now, or my Black Mage, and anyone who's played Final Fantasy 11, just if you can look at this club, we all know what club this is, right? Like, this game, the jobs have some Final Fantasy 11 vibes going on in this game. If you played Final Fantasy 11, Dark Knight has a scythe in this game. You know, even Final Fantasy 14, when you're playing the Marauder class in this game, actually has the upheaval ability. Magic, you just cast, so you have a magic bar in the lower right left-hand corner, which is basically refilled by countering. So if you wanted to play a mage, you are going to have to get close and pretty. You're going to have to counter. You're going to have to block. You have access to special abilities right here. So you can see I've unlocked Ruin because I played a mage. So I can run over here and pop my ability Ruin on this Griffin. And you'll see here, it shoots that out. I can hold R2 and that accesses my magic menu. So I choose what magic I want to cast by the wheel, and I can charge it up. So right now we'll use Quake Gut on the Griffin. And now I want to switch to sword. So I'm going to switch to sword. I'm going to engage. And it is a 2 action button offensive system. You can dodge, you can attack, and then you have R2 is your special ability. So the combo system is based off of how many attacks you do, how long you hold the button. So if I wanted to, for example, you just saw me counter him there. If I wanted to do beatdown, I would do that. I can do a finisher if I do get their break gauge down. There is a lot of combat systems in this game that layer the complexity. And it's not a parry system like Dark Souls. It's not a, you know, you have to parry like Sekiro. If you are playing on the hard difficulty, you will have to parry. That's just the way it is, because parrying is how you regenerate your mana. But it's a game style that is active and countering and rewarding, and it's just wonderful. You can see here, even right now, I could potentially change, you know, my job. If I felt like I was on the wrong job right now, I could switch to, for example, Ronin. And all of a sudden, I'm going to have a completely different move set than I did before. I'm going to have Jimpu. I can do Iaigiri, which is, of course, a charge-based attack. If I thought that maybe I was going to be going up against winged enemies, I could change my job to be Lancer. Unfortunately, I don't have Dragoon unlocked yet, but you can see it'll automatically equip the best weapons and gear that I have in my set. Again, the weapons change and they look awesome as you progress throughout the game. So again, I have, you know, different combos. If you can see down in the lower left-hand corner, you can see where it says Lance Hurl. If I hit, it goes to Cyclone. If I go hit, it goes to Wild Thrust. That's how the combo system works in this game. There's also multiple guards, so I could guard like this. I can guard like this, which is like a blood counter. There's just so much you can do in this game, and there's so many different ways to customize the combat style that there's no way you could call this a Souls-like. And so having played through this game, some of the drawbacks that I've noticed are mostly in graphical settings. There are some graphical settings that are problematic. The brightness is off a little bit. It's almost like the game engine wasn't designed to have, very similar to Elden Ring, a brightness in some areas as bright as it was. But overall, it feels great. The fact you can change jobs mid-combo, the fact that you can have like a sub-white mage job and buff your party, raise your party, cure your party. You know, the small graphical hiccups are nothing compared to the long term. Now, finally, there is one last thing that makes this game absolutely incredible, and that is the co-op. And I have played a lot of Final Fantasy games. I played every Final Fantasy game, actually. And there's never been a co-op system, I feel like, that has been really good in these types of games, even with Neo or Dark Souls, even though this is not a Souls-like game, right? There's never been like a co-op system that is good. This is much more along the lines of Phantasy Star Online in that you can, you know, if I wanted to create a room at a save point, I could literally create a room and my friends could join. So when we were playing online, when I was streaming this game, and I'll be streaming this game quite a bit over the course of the next week because I want to beat it because I love it so much, I was able to actually play with my viewers. They were able to hop in with me and we were able to play a co-op game. The co-op definitely scaled to the amount of players that were in our group. I also had a higher item level player in my group, so I don't know if an item level synced them down to our item level, but we were playing on hard and we were running through a boss, and oh my god, the amount of HP the boss had, the difficulty that we had, we were dying, we had to res each other, we had to do the boss like 3 times. It was a great experience, and my understanding is that these multiplayer missions are going to be available post-game as well, hopefully, so I'm very excited for that. I'm excited to play a Final Fantasy game that feels like almost a unique Final Fantasy experience, that feels like a different Final Fantasy experience, that is kind of action oriented. It's a type of Final Fantasy I've never played before, and it's absolutely incredible. So out there's a ton of people who are talking smack about this game. There's a lot of YouTubers who have no idea what the fuck they're talking about. Don't listen to them. They're crazy. This game is incredible, and I would highly encourage all of you guys to play it. We have a Stranger of Paradise section in my Discord. Come join us. If you show up on stream, I would love to play with you. So I am going to be streaming this a lot. But that's about it. I would give this game a solid 9 out of 10. I'm actually going to beat this game before Elden Ring because I am loving it so much. So thank you so much for watching, everybody, and have a great rest of your day.